My initial sense of the document is that it is deeply disappointing. It is a document that is long on aspiration but short on detail, and I think as we exit the formal Troika programme, it certainly is a missed opportunity for the country. The government seems to be essentially taking a gamble that economic growth will get us out of our difficulties over the next number of years. They're projecting growth of between 2 and 3% over the next number of years, but not providing any clear strategy and detailed action plan as to how that is going to be achieved. It seems essentially to me that the document is a rehash of existing departmental policies, and there doesn't really appear to be anything that you could point to in it which is new, which is tangible and which is exciting. And I think if you are going to go to the trouble and indeed the expense of putting together a new economic strategy, then at least it should be meaningful. And we should be able to point to something and say the government has a plan and this is how they're going to achieve the objectives. But I think it is deeply disappointing, and when you look at issues such as mortgage arrears, personal indebtedness, issues of credit to the economy, for example, issues of our competitiveness as a country, supporting the SME and the enterprise sector, there really is little or nothing in this document. So I think it is deeply disappointing, a missed opportunity, and unfortunately full of aspiration without any backup detail as to how that is going to be achieved.
Thanks, Michael. The unemployment target of 8% by 2020 is welcome, but we've absolutely given no roadmap as to how they're going to get there. It would require a huge transformation. There are commitments in it to addressing the credit situations facing SMEs, but again, there's no specific commitments. We would challenge, in the context of a medium-term economic plan, to assist SMEs. There should be a commitment over that time to establish the State Investment Bank as is promised in the programme for government. And I think it's fair to assume that that commitment in the programme for government is now abandoned because it doesn't feature at all in this plan. The government's own plans on SME credit have failed to date. There's no recognition of that in the plan. There's no recognition of rebooting those schemes to try and make them more attractive. So I think, all in all, Michael's assessment is correct. This is a very aspirational document. There are no specific steps that we will be able to hold the government to account for, and there will be no measurements that we'll be able to measure progress against.
Michael Noonan's
Sure.
saying end of austerity after the 2015 budget, and the 2015 budget mightn't be as tough as originally thought. Do you think he's being way too optimistic?
Well, I hope he's not being too optimistic, but the truth is we just don't know. It really depends on economic growth. And if you go back and look at what the government first said in April 2011 about growth in 2012, 2013, then the reality has not matched those forecasts. We've had little or no growth in the Irish economy over the last couple of years, and if the economy remains largely stagnant, then our numbers will get into great difficulty. And the government's projection that our debt to GDP ratio will fall down towards 90% is entirely dependent on economic growth. And I think if you're going to adopt that model, then you need to spell out very clearly where the growth is going to come from. And that is the one fundamental issue which is missing from this document. We know that there is a plan for an export-led recovery that of course is strongly dependent on international sentiment, the trading environment in Europe, the UK and the United States in particular. But we would like to see far more practical initiatives there to support small businesses that are currently hanging on by their fingertips, businesses that are dealing with local authority rates, rents and energy costs that belong to a different era. If we are to be competitive, support those businesses who are employing 700,000 to 800,000 people in the country, then that is where our focus should be. And all of that detail is sadly lacking in the document that has been published today.
If, as the government is stating in this, they will continue along the path of keeping public finances under control or trying to get them under control, etc., do you think in doing that it's possible to inject growth into an economy and to get it growing at the figures that they need?
Yeah, I do, absolutely, because it's not as if we're looking at 5, 6, 7% growth. If we had growth of between 2 and 3% on a sustainable basis going forward, then our deficit problems and our debt problems would work themselves out, and we wouldn't have any great difficulty in meeting the targets under the fiscal compact. So I believe that the focus has to be firmly on enterprise, on the issues that SMEs are facing today. And if you are in small business anywhere around the country at the moment, and you're looking to this document to see how it can help you to stay in business, to retain the existing level of employment that you have, and perhaps to take on a new person, then there's nothing in this for you. And that really has to be the litmus test of any economic strategy. Does it help people who are prepared to take risk in the economy, who are prepared to put their own money in, employ people and try to drive this recovery? And I don't see anything tangible or practical in this document that will assist them to achieve that goal.